All right. How's it going, guys? Today it is finally the day we are doing our final mock draft for the 2019 NHL draft. So with the World Championships being over and us seeing the final days, or I guess the final days of hockey for that sounded really weird. The final games for Kaapo Kakko and Jack Hughes heading up to the draft, I feel comfortable making my final decisions on my input for the 2019 draft. But with that being said, I'm going to put a little disclaimer on this video. Of course, this is a mock draft. This isn't to be taken too seriously. This is to be fun. You know, with the past couple drafts, we're seeing so much, fluctuation in the draft, so much variance from mock drafts that you can't take them too seriously. But again, they are a fun thing to do. But anyways, guys, let's get straight into this mock draft. All right, so the New Jersey Devils. So I guess one thing I'll mention, if you guys want more in-depth details on why I believe a certain team should choose a certain player, go check out my channel. You may find your team or whatever team with my, better explanation where I go through the depth charts and really explain why I think this team should draft who. Whereas this video, I'm just going to briefly go over my, reasons, whereas I have more in-depth videos on my channel. Starting with, New Jersey, I've done New York, I've done Chicago, I've done Vancouver, and I've done Edmonton, and I'm going to keep going down the line, hopefully finish the top 15 and somehow get into the top 30. So the New Jersey Devils, them lucky guys, they won the draft lottery, giving them, the power to draft, a Hughes or a Kakko. So let's start this off. Who do I think that the New Jersey Devils will select? So there's honestly a lot of controversy with this because people think Kakko's better, people think Jack Hughes is better, people think that Jack Hughes is more of a future pick, whereas Kaapo Kakko can go in the league right now and be that dominant impact player. The New Jersey Devils are going to select Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes is going to be that dynamic franchise centerman for the future. He has all the pieces to be that guy. He has, franchise-like skating compared to other players like Barzal and McDavid. He's just a player you don't see very often. And I believe he's going to be that next franchise piece. And whether or not he's going to be, that top franchise piece right away, or whether we have to wait 2-3 years, this is going to be a pick New Jersey selects, knowing that this is really going to fill out their center depth positions going into the future. When I kind of looked over New Jersey, we kind of decided that perhaps New Jersey lacks center and wing. They have a pretty good defensive core, but I think New Jersey should choose the centerman in this draft, and Jack Hughes is just that guy. At number 2, we have the New York Rangers, so kind of in a similar position to New Jersey. New York can really draft anywhere and it's going to benefit them. But with that being said, the Rangers are definitely not a loser in this scenario, and they're going to draft Kaapo Kakko. Honestly, in the number 2 spot, you can't not draft Kaapo Kakko. Even if they want Bowen Byram, they just can't do it. Kaapo Kakko is going to be, that franchise winger for New York for a long time. One thing I forgot to mention is I'm going to be doing player comparisons, so sorry. For Jack Hughes, it's kind of a Patrick Kane or Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with a lot of upside. And for Kaapo Kakko, Kaapo Kakko is kind of an interesting one, but I do believe he's like an Alexander Barkov. A two-way forward Finn that can do everything, that can play defensively, that can lead your offensive charge. Kaapo Kakko is that all-complete player that New York Rangers are gonna love. At number 3, we have the Chicago Blackhawks. So Chicago's an interesting team. Chicago still has a lot of pieces within their systems that could lead them pretty deep into the playoffs, to be honest. Besides the aging defensive core and a little bit of a lack of, winger depth in their lineup, I believe that they could potentially be a competitive team even next year. But with that being said, I believe they're going to choose Bowen Byram with the number 3 pick. Bowen Byram is like that complete defenseman that can do everything. My puppy's in the background. Bowen Byram can play on the penalty kill. He can play on the power play. He can lead your forward rush. He can lead the transition. He is a very complete defenseman that we don't see very often. Comparable to like a Rasmus Dahlin that was drafted last year, not with the same ceiling Dahlin has, but the same type of player. But the main player comparable I would for Bowen Byram would be is Mark Giordano. Mark Giordano is that, complete defenseman that can really lead your defensive core, good leadership, good offensive upside, but yet is very responsible in his own end. So at number 3, Bowen Byram. At number 4, we have the Colorado Avalanche, who received this pick during the Duchesne transaction. So Colorado unfortunately did not win the draft lottery, even though Ottawa was last place. Good thing, because I was actually feeling bad for Ottawa. Anyways, with the 4th pick, I believe they should choose Dylan Cousins. So this may be seen as kind of surprise, but I believe Dylan Cousins is the piece that they need. Dylan Cousins is a 6'3", powerful guy. He's a very powerful skater. In fact, he has amazing skating. He's in the top of I would consider him in the top, I would say 5 in this draft in terms of skating. He has, in terms of forward skating, I guess, he is unbelievable powerful stride. And in combination with his size, this is a very deadly combination. Not only that, Dylan Cousins has very good hockey IQ. He has a very good vision and a very deadly shot. In terms of comparisons, I would actually compare him to a Mark Scheifele. Mark Scheifele is that complete, center, first line center who can play power play, penalty kill, and who has a very deadly shot. And he also has size just like Cousins. I believe Dylan Cousins can take over that second line role in Colorado, because if anything, Colorado really lacks, forward depth. It almost made them, miss the playoffs this year, even though they have Rantanen, Landeskog, and McKinnon just tearing it up. They almost missed the playoffs just because of their, forward depth. Dylan Cousins, I think he needs another year to get bigger and stronger, but he's really going to help them into the future. At number 5, we have the LA Kings, and I believe they should select Alex Turcotte. So Alex Turcotte, he can be comparable to a Jack Hughes. But in my opinion, Alex Turcotte actually has a more complete game than Jack Hughes on the defensive side. But Alex Turcotte is looking like he's going to be a super dynamic centerman who can do everything. He can play on the power play, he can play on the penalty kill. He has very good skating, a very good shot, a really great playmaker with really good vision and hockey IQ. He looks like he can be a potential first-line center, leading the aging, LA Kings into the future. So for Alex Turcotte, a lot of these comparables, you really need to take with a grain of salt. I'll mention that again. But for Turcotte, a lot of people are saying Ryan O'Reilly. Super good two-way player that can play defensively but has a lot of offensive upside. All right, and number 6, with the newly acquired GM, Steve Yzerman, I believe that they should choose Vasily Podkolzin. This may be a bit of a surprise to some people because, Podkolzin has really been sliding down the draft rankings as of recently. So with Steve Yzerman being the guy choosing, Nikita Kucherov when no one else would choose him, I believe that they should choose Podkolzin. Podkolzin has been sliding down recently. There's many factors, including the Russian factor, the fact that he's going to be playing in the KHL for at least one more year. A lot of scouts are not liking that. But I believe the Detroit Red Wings should take the risk with Podkolzin. Even though Podkolzin's play has been kind of underwhelming, he has a lot of upside. He is the definition of Russian sniper that can really help build the Red Wings, forward core going into the future. So for Podkolzin, the player comparable, in my opinion, would be like a Thomas Hertl, a really good scoring winger that is not afraid to drive to the net, that plays with some edge. All right, so number 7, we have the Buffalo Sabres, and I believe they should choose Cole Caulfield. So honestly, Buffalo has a decent center depth going into the future. Obviously with Jack Eichel, Casey Middlestat, Sam Reinhart, who can play center wing, and some other pieces in their system, I believe that they should definitely focus on winger depth. Cole Caulfield, to some teams, seems like a risk because he's smaller, he may not transition very well into the NHL, but his upside is huge. This guy was just goal per game this year. Goal per game. And 2 goals per game in the U18 championships. Like, this guy has so much upside. And for a team like Buffalo, who already has a lot of future prospects in place, Dahlin, Eichel, Middlestat, even Nylander, even though that's a bit controversial, Cole Caulfield could be that guy that, where they can take the risk, and he could be that guy that really solidifies their offensive scoring going into the future. And with them having pieces like Dahlin, they could be very deadly, if not next year, but the year after. So at number 7, Cole Caulfield. And for Cole Caulfield, this is probably the most comparable player in this whole draft, but that is Alex DeBrincat. So Alex DeBrincat, of course, is that super undersized scoring winger, but has a super dynamic shot that, if put in place with the right pieces, can be very deadly. All right, and at number 8, I believe the Edmonton Oilers should draft Trevor Zegras. So Edmonton is a team that severely lacks, even more than Colorado, severely lacks, forward depth. So this is a no-brainer for them to choose the best, forward on the board, and I believe that forward is Trevor Zegras. Trevor Zegras is a very complete two-way centerman who can play in all areas of the game, like a lot of players in this draft, it seems like, but very good defensive play. Very good offensive play, super high offensive ceiling. He can do everything. Very good skater, really good edges, really good playmaking ability with a really good shot. Zegras is kind of a tougher comparable, to be honest, but people are saying Patrice Bergeron. You know, super strong defensive play, really good upside, but also chips in, you know, offensively. So for a team like Edmonton who lacks that, you know, that depth, Trevor Zegras can really help fill in those holes. All right, at number 9, we have the Anaheim Ducks. And so for the Anaheim Ducks, I believe they should choose Kirby Dach. Kirby Dach is just the most ideal player for Anaheim. And it's raining, of course. Sorry about that, guys. But Kirby Dach's main comparable is Ryan Getzlaf. 6'4" power forward, center winger with a very strong playmaking ability. That just screams Ryan Getzlaf. Kirby Dach has really good skating for his size. He has unbelievably, you know, hockey IQ, really good passing, and it's really good puck control. Everything screams, you know, Ryan Getzlaf, and he is the perfect player for Anaheim to build into the future. All right, and at number 10, we have the Vancouver Canucks. And if you guys have watched any of my videos on the Canucks, I scream winger depth. We need better winger depths to support our players like Pettersson and Bo Horvat. Sorry about the rain, guys. You know, just like literally 20 minutes ago, it was 28 degrees out and now it's raining. But anyways, for the Vancouver Canucks, I believe they should go with Matthew Boldy. Matthew Boldy is the most complete player in this whole draft. You know, it seems like a common theme. Really good skating and two-way game. And Matthew Boldy is just that. In fact, he's considered like the most complete player in this whole draft. He's the Swiss Army knife player. He can do everything. You know, he has a very, very strong defensive game. Last year, he was critiqued for his kind of lackluster, underwhelming defensive game. However, this year, he made it his priority to, you know, really focus on developing his defensive game, and he has done just that. And of course, it's thundering. So with that being said, Matthew Boldy has a really strong defensive play. He has a very good, accurate wrist shot. He has a really good, you know, offensive ceiling, and he looks like a can't-miss pick at number 10 for Vancouver. And it's kind of interesting because a lot of these players could be going anywhere. I see some scouts say Zegras can go in the top 5. I see some scouts say Boldy can go in the top 5. So honestly, after I would say Kakko and Hughes, anybody can kind of go anywhere. But the comparable for Boldy that everyone has been screaming is Mark Stone. And, you know, any team could use a Mark Stone. Alright guys, I'm just going to kind of power through the rest of this video. So sorry if I go a little bit quicker. I just don't want you guys to be super annoyed by the rain. But anyways, at number 11, we have Philip Broberg. So Philadelphia is another one of those teams that still has a lot of really strong pieces that they can build around. Whether that's Giroux, you know, Voracek. Now they have Patrick, Gostisbehere. They have a lot of really good pieces. And I do believe that them picking up another potential, you know, top 2 defenseman like Broberg would be very beneficial to their team. Broberg, honestly, is a very kind of controversial pick. At times, he looked like he could be a top 3 picks. At other times, he looked like he could be out of the first round. But the upside is there. Just a phenomenal skater who can drive the transitional game. A hard, but not very accurate shot and good vision. A lot of pieces that could lead towards, you know, a top 2 defenseman. Philadelphia should definitely take the risk on a Philip Broberg. In terms of comparison for Broberg, I would say Victor Hedman, a bigger, you know, Swedish defenseman who has really good skating capabilities that can lead that transition play. At number 12, we have the Minnesota Wild, and I believe they should pick up Peyton Krebs. So with Minnesota recently shopping, you know, Jason Zucker, clearly they are trying to create some new identity, pick up some new wingers. Peyton Krebs is exactly who they should choose. Peyton Krebs is that guy who has such a strong motor, so much motivation, such a high compete level, and is a guy that, you know, Minnesota can really help build their forward core going on to the future. And again, Peyton Krebs was playing on the Kootenay Ice, and if you guys didn't know, the Kootenay Ice was just not a good team. In fact, they were just a horrible team, and even with that being said, Peyton Krebs was above point per game. He has so much upside, super defensively responsible, one of the best skaters in the draft, and at number 12, he's again just a can't-miss pick. For Peyton Krebs, a lot of people are saying Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is an excellent two-way player. Peyton Krebs, I could definitely see the comparisons there. So at number 13, we have the Florida Panthers, and I believe they should choose Alex Newhook. So Alex Newhook is another one of those players that you just can't miss out on. Alex Newhook has such dynamic skating. Again, he's one of the top skaters in this draft. A big comparable to like a Matt Barzal. And for Florida, who already has a lot of pieces like Barkov, Huberdeau, Ekblad, they could definitely use another, dynamic centerman to fill out their core going into the future. So number 13, Alex Newhook. All right, at number 14, we have the Arizona Coyotes. Arizona is actually kind of lacking in a lot of areas. However, I don't believe they necessarily need to focus on centerman. So for this draft, I believe they should pick up Arthur Kaliyev. So if anything, the Coyotes are really lacking on winger depth. Arthur Kaliyev is a very intriguing prospect. He is one of the most dynamic winger scorers in this draft, having over 50 goals this year in the OHL. But there is some holes in his game. He is lackluster defensively, and he's not the best skater. He's an average skater, but he's not the best. So with that being said, the Coyotes should definitely take the risk on a Kaliyev, who could potentially be that 30-40, goal-scoring winger in the future. At number 15, we have the Montreal Canadiens, and I believe they should choose Victor Soderstrom. So Victor Soderstrom is a very interesting pick. He's not overwhelming in many ways, but he's a very, complete defenseman. Super good skater, super good transition play. He's very responsible defensively. He doesn't have a whole lot of offensive upside, but he can chip in offensively. He reminds me of a Chris Tanev. So if you guys aren't familiar with Chris Tanev plays on the Vancouver Canucks, and he is a very good, smooth skating defenseman that has a really good transition play. He doesn't chip in a lot defensively, but overall, he's a very good player you'd want on your team, a very good shutdown defenseman, and that's who I believe a Victor Soderstrom is. So with that being said, the Montreal could really use another defenseman, and Soderstrom is their guy. But anyways, guys, that's my 2019 NHL mock draft. Hopefully it's not all over the place. Sorry again about the rain and the thunder. Hopefully it doesn't shine through too much in this video. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for all the support. I appreciate it so much, guys. You don't even know. I'm having such a blast making these videos. But anyways, guys, see you guys later.